Welcome back to Pete's Critiques. Football is back. I am back. And this year, if you're lucky enough to be watching on YouTube, you're able to see my face this year. That's right. We're expanding to YouTube and TikTok this year, and alongside our usual Spotify. And with that being said, let's get straight into it and kick off this new season. So, what we are doing today, it is going to be a 2025 fantasy episode helping all you guys with your fantasy drafts so you can ace it and beat your friends in your league. The agenda for this podcast episode is going to be a first round guide, as you're going to need to be able to ace your first round draft. Sleepers, 3 sleeper picks I have for each offensive position that I think are really going to help you win your league. And then I have one question from a fan who decided to email me. And we're going to get into that. So, with that being said, let's start things off with our first round guide. First round. If you want to win your league this year, you have to nail your first round pick. Trust me, I'm a guy who took CMC last year. Didn't go well for me, right? You need to get your first round pick. He needs to be able to produce. So, if you want any chance of succeeding this year, you're going to need to nail your first round pick. If you are lucky enough to land a top 3 pick this year, you should be taking any combination of Ja'Marr Chase, Saquon Barkley, and Bijan Robinson. First overall pick, consensus pick, obviously it should be Ja'Marr Chase, right? I don't think you can mess that up. I think it's Ja'Marr Chase through and through. Second pick, I like to take Bijan. That's who I think. I think him paired with Michael Penix is insane. His upside could be the best fantasy player, which is a guy you should be getting from the top 3 picks. And then third, I have Saquon. Right? Hard to argue with that. He had one of the greatest running back seasons of all time last year, over 2,000 yards rushing, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I could keep going. So, any of those first 3 picks for the first round, you're doing great. As for your middle rounds, these are the 4, 5, 6, 7. Those picks should be some of these players. These are what I have in my mid-round tier. I have CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Christian McCaffrey. Now, in what particular order, a little bit is up to you. The CeeDee Lamb versus Justin Jefferson tandem, that's a little bit of preference, right? I already had my draft this year. I had the option to take CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson. I took the bet. I took Justin Jefferson because I think J.J. McCarthy is going to be very, very good this year. And Justin Jefferson with a good quarterback is insanely scary, better than CeeDee Lamb is. But CeeDee Lamb is the safe pick. We know he has a decent quarterback. He's been able to produce in the past. So, with that being said, any of those 2 in the middle rounds is a great pick. Now, on to our more interesting guys, the running backs at the middle rounds. We have Jahmyr Gibbs. He's falling a little bit in my first round, right? He's still in the first round because he is elite. But here's where I'm saying that people who are taking him with a top 3 pick, top 4 pick, top 5 pick are going wrong. I think he's only worth the top 5 pick if David Montgomery's out. Yes, he produced amazingly. He was the best fantasy player when David Montgomery is out. But other than that, he's not worth the top 5 pick. He is good. I'll give you that. He is good. But I think his ADP is a little bit inflated because of what happened last year with David Montgomery and how he got injured. Him at the 6, 7, that area, that range, great pick. Now for Christian McCaffrey. This is a guy, a very polarizing player because, as I've said before, he messed a lot of people up last year. He got injured, hurt a lot of people's teams. A lot of people won't be able to take a chance on him ever again because of what happened. Now, for smart fantasy players like me and you, I know you're a smart fantasy player, you can take advantage of this stupidity by taking him. He's falling and falling and falling. And yes, he got injured. Yes, he's injury prone. We know that. But when Christian McCaffrey is healthy, who's beating him? Like, let's be for real. Like, we have to remember how he scored a touchdown, like, consecutive game over and over and over. It was, like, close to a record. He is unreal. So, Christian McCaffrey, I might even go as far to say I'm taking him over Jahmyr Gibbs, dare I say. So, that's my middle round critique. Now, as for the later first round, if you score a later first round pick, it's not the end of the world, right? Because let's say you're doing a snake draft, you get to swing around and maybe get one of these guys in your second round, right? That's pretty awesome. So in my later half, I have Nico Collins. I love Nico Collins in the later rounds because let's think about this. He's been able to produce with Stephon Diggs on his team, Tank Dell on his team. He's still been able to produce with those guys. Now, who else is catching the football? Let's be real. Stephon Diggs is gone. Tank Dell is out. He's like alpha number 1 receiver right now. he's great. I love that pick there. When you see Nico Collins on your board, you shouldn't just be thinking of like the Nico Collins you've been seeing in the past. You should be thinking of like an alpha wide receiver. Like he is the guy. So that's a great late first round pick if you can score him. Next I have Derrick Henry. I mean, what else do I have to explain? Derrick Henry, he's been an absolutely monster at producing. There is questions about how he's gonna is he gonna deteriorate because of age, but they were saying the exact same thing last year, so he is going to deteriorate 1 year. It's gonna happen. Father Time is gonna get to him, but like he's shown nothing that's gonna be this year. So I think that's a safe bet. I think taking him in your later first round is a great pick. Next, I have Puka Nacua. I think Nacua, I mean, he's solid, right? There's nothing I can really say about him. Like, he's amazing. But, like, him as a first-round pick, he's all right? I mean, I just feel like with Matthew Stafford and that injury situation, I know it has been resolved and he's going to play week 1. But, like, if for some reason he's not able to do that, or, like, he's going to get injured, his stock just goes down, draining down. So that's why I have him a little bit lower, but Puka Nacua is still a great pick. Don't get me wrong. Finally, I have, so in my later rounds, my final like later round pick, that if you could score him, that's a great pick. I have Ashton Jeanty. Now, for those of you who are new to fantasy football or just don't follow rookies as much, trust me, I don't follow college football very often, but trust me, I know Ashton Jeanty. Ashton Jeanty, here, let me dumb it down for you guys. He was amazing. People thought he should have won Heisman, the Travis Hunter thing, the whole debate. But anyways, he's elite. He's already an alpha running back on his team, and the only reason why he's fading to the end of the first round is because of rookie superstition and like splitting touchdowns with Brock Bowers. But that being said, Jeanty is on a Pete Carroll run team, which he does give shades of beast mode, Marshawn Lynch. Let's get that straight. We know Pete Carroll has been able to run schemes with power running backs like Ashton Jeanty, so I think he's going to succeed this year. Now, as you guys have been hearing, like what I've been saying, who I have been talking about in the first round, you guys are probably going to talk about, oh, what about this guy? What about this guy? You're missing them. These are the guys that I'm fading to my second round. They should be dropping, in my opinion. First, I have Malik Neighbors. Now, don't get me wrong, Giants fans, don't flame me. Here's why I'm saying Malik Neighbors fades to the early second round. The quarterback situation in New York, everyone knows it. It's a fiasco, right? They have like 4 quarterbacks that are all mediocre. That's going to take a toll on Malik Neighbors, big time. Now, don't get me wrong, he's a great pick. He's a great player. He's going to produce for you in fantasy, but first round picking him is not great because of that quarterback situation. As for Brian Thomas Jr., I don't think there's anything wrong with him. I think his ADP is great where it is in the second round. Perfect. If I see him in the second round, scoop him up, right? He's on a Jacksonville-led team. And yes, they drafted Travis Hunter, but let's be real. Travis Hunter, he's not going to be a huge impact in the receiving game. I view him more as a cornerback. And let's say he does play both sides. How is he going to like produce at a very, very high level? Brian Thomas is going to remain the alpha wide receiver 1. Now, as for Amon-Ra, why I'm fading him to the second round, I feel like people are taking him a little bit high because of his reliability in the past. But like what people aren't realizing is he lost a top-tier offensive coordinator last year, Ben Johnson, to a head coaching job in Chicago. That's going to take a toll on him. That was supporting him in fantasy a little bit last year, and I think that's going to lower him a little bit. So, again, that's why I'm fading him in the second round. But again, all these players are great. I'm not fading them any lower than the second round. So, that's how to ace your first round. Now, as for 3 sleepers I have this year that you should be targeting in your drafts. First up, I'm going to have 1 for running back position, 1 for tight end, and 1 for wide receiver, because I can't give you all my sleepers because I am a little bit greedy. I need to be able to win my own fantasy league. But that being said, email me if you have questions about any certain player, and I can hook you up on the podcast. And yeah, but starting things off, the 3 free sleepers I'm giving out right now. My first sleeper, a running back, Chase Brown. Now, for those of you who aren't super familiar with Chase Brown, he was an absolute demon in the second half last year. He was splitting carries with Zach Moss to start out the year, right? He wasn't producing at a particularly high level, but once Zach Moss went down with an injury, his production went through the roof. Now, let's go through a little bit of statistics from his post-Zach Moss production. His snap share went from 50% to 90% average. That's crazy. You're getting on the field and you're taking snaps 90% of the time. Think about all those opportunities. He averaged over 20 points per game, right? And for a guy you can maybe swing in the third round, that's amazing. When Zach Moss was gone And Zach Moss is gone again this year. Remember that. He is gone this year. He's averaged 20 points per game. Along with that, the Bengals have not added any new running back, kind of telling the entire league that this is going to be our guy. This is going to be the leader of our team. His coordinator, Dan Pitcher, even said, I quote, "I believe Chase Brown is a top 10 running back in the league." And he also said, "You want to make sure your most explosive players are on the field and are ready to touch the ball as many times as possible." As a fantasy owner, that should be ding, 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 ding. He's literally giving you the answers to the test. He's letting you know Chase Brown is going to get major production as a running back. Along with that, Chase Brown has massive receiving upside. He's able to even catch balls, which is in your PPR leagues, point per reception. That's gold. Running backs who can catch are gold. With that being said, Chase Brown is my number one running back target sleeper you should be looking at. As for the tight end position, which is what I'm going to be doing next, I'm not going to really go with the sleeper here because everyone knows he's good, but in terms of value, George Kittle has the best value. Yes, there are two tight ends ahead of him, Trey McBride and Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers, everybody knows who he is, or at least they should. Amazing tight end. Set rookie records, has been crazy, but that has inflated his draft stock a little bit. If you want to hear more about Brock Bowers from me, email me, criticalpetemedia@gmail.com. And in terms of Trey McBride, again, he's a great pick, but I do think he's a little bit inflated. In terms of value, George Kittle is the best receiver right now. And I think that's because purely of what happened in the offseason. Let's just go through what the 49ers are going to start with this year. They lost Deebo Samuel, who's been a main part of their scheme for years and years and years. Brandon Ayuk is out till October at the earliest. Kyle Shanahan has said that. The number one wide receiver is Juwan Jennings, who people have been talking about him trading him away, but again, I don't think they're going to do that. But like that being the number one receiver is kind of bonkers to me. Yes, Christian McCaffrey's back. However, who's going to take away all those deep downfield targets? It's George Kittle. We're hearing in camp that Purdy and Kittle are back locked in camp, and let's just remember, George Kittle has been a top 5 tight end in 3 years straight. He's done that with Christian McCaffrey back there. So, in terms of value, picking up a George Kittle in the 4th round is great. He'll act as a receiver for you, and he's going to be a top-tier tight end. So, it's a great value pick for the tight end position. As for wide receiver, a little sleeper I have. Again, these aren't really sleepers. They're more of like value picks. What are you getting value out of? And I have Davante Adams as my value wide receiver. People are starting to assume that he's going to be washed because they get that vibe from him that since he switched teams from the Raiders to the Jets, that he's starting to wind down. Let's be real. He goes to a veteran quarterback, which sound a little bit familiar. Aaron Rodgers, anyone? He's going to Matt Stafford, an extremely competent head coaching staff, which is one that he did not have last year. He was at the Raiders last year, and then he moved to the Jets, which was a coaching fiasco. Robert Saleh got fired, and now he's going to a competent coaching staff in Sean McVay. Sean McVay complements multiple receiver systems. He's supported Puka Nacua years with Cooper Kupp years. So what I'm trying to say is, in years past, both receivers have been able to produce, and the same thing can happen with Davante Adams this year. That's why I think he's dropping really, really low right now. So if you see him and he's top of your list there, give him a swing. And you need a little flex option or a wide receiver 2 or 3 depending on your league rules. Take a chance on him. I love that pick. Finally, we have our Q&As. These are the people who have asked for specific fantasy advice from me, Pete. So our one and only question this week is from David Senuik. David Senuik says, and I quote, "Mr. Pete, what is your opinion on the hype around Jacory Krosky-Merritt?" Okay, boy, do I want to talk about this kid, because I remember I had a draft a couple of days ago. I don't know when this is going to come out, but I had a draft a couple of days ago, and I picked this guy up in one of the last rounds, and I was like, you know what? I'm hearing things on TikTok about this guy, because Brian Robinson just got traded the day before, and I was like, okay, let me look at the depth chart. I see Austin Eckler. Okay, who's this Jacory Krosky-Merritt? I don't know. I'll take a swing on him. He's a rookie, and maybe they'll feed him, and all of a sudden, I start to see his ADP slowly tick up. I start to hear things in the news about, them calling him Bill, and he has all this hype. So, as you said, David, he has a lot of hype. In terms of my true thoughts on him, he will be this year's Bucky Irving, and I know that's a very, very strong take, but let's take a look at his physicals to start. He's 5'10", literally the same height as Bucky Irving. He's heavier than Bucky Irving. He's more of a power back. A rookie running back stash that you can pick up in your league, if he's there, I know by the time this comes out, he's probably going to be projecting 10 fantasy points per game, and he's going to be really high up boards, but if you're in a league where he's not rated high, it sounds silly, but look up this guy, Jacory Krosky-Merritt. I really think he's a great stash, and you probably won't want to get rid of him by week 4 or 5. Just hold on to him. I know he's taking up a bench spot for now, but just see. Wait and see. So, great question, David. All right, guys, that wraps up just about everything we have for this episode. So, once again, thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure you guys email me fantasy or NFL-based questions at criticalpetemedia@gmail.com. That's criticalpetemedia@gmail.com. I can help you guys out with your fantasy leagues, answer any NFL questions you have to impress your friends. Thank you so much to the marketing team run by Tom Goss. Thank you, Claire Goss, for extensive special support. And thank you again for listening to my podcast.